All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the Sports Card Therapist. And I am here talking about the top 10 cards I am watching on this week's PWCC weekly auction, specifically vintage cards. As you know, vintage cards, that is my thing. I am in love with vintage cards. There's so much I can say about vintage cards that I haven't already said, but also there's so much I've already said. So let's jump into it, okay? So this first card that we are looking at this week is the 1914 T213 coupon Type 2 Walter Johnson BVG2, and that is a BVG pop 1 of 1 with none graded higher. None graded higher. Beautiful card. This is something that you do not see pop up very often. This is also a tobacco card. We have the mild and sweet coupon cigarettes ad on the back. But Walter Johnson, I mean, you look at this card, it's a clean card. It's got nice edges. It's got rounded corners. It's got great color, great registration on this. And you do not see these things pop up too often. And Walter Johnson, he was an incredible pitcher. He was an incredible manager. Just did so much. He was a World Series champion in 1924 for the Washington Senators, two-time American League MVP, three-time pitching Triple Crown winner, six-time American League wins leader. The guy did it all. And then he was also a manager for 6 years. So great career. And then moving on, we have another Walter Johnson card, or another card that Walter Johnson is featured on. This is the 1921 W516-2-1 Walter Johnson, Roger Hornsby, and Ty Cobb. This is a PSA 2. As you can tell, this is one of these cards that was typically going to be hand cut, but this stayed intact. So whoever it was that owned this strip of cards did not cut it, did not separate it. So here you go. You have three absolute all-time players on this one card: Walter Johnson, Roger Hornsby, and Ty Cobb. And this is a PSA 2. PSA pop 1 of 1, none graded higher. I don't think you're ever going to see a card like this again, not in this exact shape and form. So this is a great looking card. You have two cards featuring Walter Johnson, which is someone who his cards do not pop up a ton. So we have two that we're looking at right here. Then the next one that I'm looking at is the 1933 Gowdy Lou Gehrig. This is a PSA 2. So this is considered one of his first year cards, the 33 Gowdy. I know that the 34 Gowdy is actually preferred by Gehrig and most vintage collectors, because it's a close up of his face with a big grin on his face. But this card right here is absolutely iconic in its own right. I mean, first of all, it comes from one of the most iconic sets of all time, which is the 33 Gowdy. And when you're talking about Lou Gehrig here, I mean, 7-time All-Star, 6-time World Series champion. His number 4 is retired by the New York Yankees, 2-time American League MVP, lifetime career batting average of 340. I mean, the guy just absolutely did it all, and the guy was a monster. He was a monster. He was larger than life physically and, theoretically. So great looking Lou Gehrig, PSA 2 right here. Good centering, good color, good registration. I mean, it really has it all. I think if you're looking at this card, most of the issues that you're going to encounter are probably the tiny bit of paper loss on the back. And that paper loss or those glue marks are probably from being in a scrapbook somewhere. So, you could see them perfectly on all four corners in the back, but the front looks great. So next we have a 1933 Gowdy Babe Ruth. This is card number 144, and this is the one where it's the full body pose of him swinging. And this is currently sitting at 3,800 in the PSA 1. I mean, a 33 Gowdy is a 33 Gowdy. I have seen a lot worse looking 33 Gowdies that are PSA 1s or even 2s than this card. So, when I look at this card, I see that the centering is not perfect. I see that all the edges are perfectly rounded the way that I like them. The edges are soft. The the corners are rounded, the edges are soft, but it still retains most of its color. So it still has most of its color. It still has good registration. I think as long as you can get over the centering right to left, which looks like it's probably like 90-10, as long as you can get over that, this is a great entry level looking Babe Ruth. And when you look at what the market has done the last couple of years, I don't know if you're going to find a more inexpensive 33 Gaudi Babe Ruth that also has some eye appeal. So this is a great looking card, and that's the reason why I chose this one this week. Next, we are looking at a 48 leaf Jackie Robinson PSA 4, right? This is the 48 leaf rookie. This card, I mean, this card has been infamous for having registration issues, having a fuzzy look. His face maybe looking darker than other copies of this card. But when I look at this card, I mean, this card has near perfect registration. Near perfect registration. I don't see any fuzziness whatsoever. As far as centering goes, right to left, it's probably like 40-60, maybe even 35-65. Top to bottom, though, it looks great. Top to bottom, it looks like it's 55-45. I mean, this card is just incredibly clean. You look at the back of this and the front looks like it was printed yesterday. This is an incredible looking card that was obviously stored somewhere out of the sunlight, because this just looks great. Now, moving on, we have the 1951 Bowman Mickey Mantle rookie. This is a PSA 4, currently sitting at 12,500. If you follow me or you follow any of my content, then you know that this is probably my favorite card of all time. I mean, of any card ever that exists, any sport, any player, this is probably my favorite card. This set is infamous for being miscut and off center. So when you have four clear distinguishable borders, the way that this card has right here, you can clearly see the border going down the right side. That right there is kind of what you want to see. So when it comes to centering, top to bottom, it looks like it's probably 30-70, and then left to right, it's probably 90-10. But at the end of the day, PSA did not give this a miscut or a off center designation, and as long you can see white on the border on the right hand side, on the right border. So for me, that would be good enough. For me, I would be happy owning this copy. So someone's going to be very happy with some of these cards this week. Now, next, we have a 1951 Bowman Willie Mays rookie PSA 2, top 30% eye appeal. I have to be honest, I don't know how this is just top 30% eye appeal. I would think you could probably put this in top 15%, maybe even top 5%. I'm not going to lie. When it comes to the eye appeal, look at this thing. Top to bottom centering is close to 50-50. Right to left, the centering is close to 50-50. It looks like it's 45-55. Registration on this looks great. Color looks great. Everything about this might be the nicest copy of this card I've ever seen, and it's only a PSA 2. And I'm not kidding. Nicest copy of this I've ever seen. When you factor in registration, when you factor in centering, when you factor in all that stuff, this copy is incredible. So that's what I'm looking at right now. So moving along, we have the 1961 Fleer Wilt Chamberlain rookie in a PSA 7. This is currently sitting at 72.50. And this is a great looking copy because, again, just like the 51 Bowman, when you're talking about the 61 Fleer, this set is infamous for being off center or miscut. So when you can see a bottom border and a right border, right, just along with the other two borders, to me, that indicates pretty good centering for this set. So top to bottom, it's looking like it's probably 80-20, and right to left, it's looking like it's probably 80-20 as well. But for me, this is a very nicely centered looking, great eye appeal Wilt Chamberlain. So love this card. Iconic. Every single one of these cards, really, except for maybe the Walter Johnsons, are historically iconic and historically significant. So moving on, we have the 1980 Topps basketball Larry Bird, Dr. J, Magic Johnson rookie, card grade PSA 5, and auto grade of a 10. So you have an auto grade for of a 10 for all three signatures. I absolutely love this card. I mean, the eye appeal on this card looks incredible. I think the reason why it probably got a 5, a big part of it is probably the centering right to left, I would say. That might be a little bit because you look at how thick the border is next to Bird on the left, and then you go all the way over to Magic. But I mean, really, that's just kind of nitpicking because at this point, what you want is no scuffs on this card. You want nothing that takes away from the eye appeal aspect of it. And you want all three signatures to have an auto grade of a 10. And guess what? This does. So this is a great looking card. I actually own one of these cards, love it. I hope it never leaves my collection. Just an iconic card. And then last but not least, we have the 1981 Topps Football Joe Montana rookie PSA 9 PWCC certified eye appeal top 30%. This exact copy was the subject of my Instagram reel that I did this week for PWCC. And Joe Montana, when you're talking about rookie cards, this is it. This is the only rookie card. So what can separate all of those copies of this card out there? And you're talking about the grade. So for this to be a PSA 9, it's got a much lower pop than a PSA 8, than a PSA 7, and so forth. And when you're talking about legendary player, when you're talking about a absolute legend, you're talking about Joe Montana. Joe Montana, him and Tom Brady will always be mentioned in the same sentence, in the same conversation. You know what I mean? So that's just really all it comes down to. Great looking card, iconic card. I'm interested to see what this goes for tonight. And again, definitely go to my Instagram and check out the reel that I did this week. I had a good time making it, good time doing a deep dive on Joe Montana and his career and really how he got his nickname Joe Cool. So that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a great day if you're watching football, if you're spending time with the family. I know here in the Northeast, up here in Connecticut, it's going to be a great fall day, but it's actually supposed to be like 70 degrees out, which is extremely warm for a day like today or this time of year, October 1st. So I hope you guys are enjoying some family time, or you're just taking a break and relaxing on this Sunday. All right, guys, don't forget, take care of yourselves and your collection. Have a good one.